Hey Kansas City, it's Chef Tom. How you doing today? We're at the Cardinal Cafe at Manual Career Training Center. And today we're going to put the art back in culinary arts. We're going to do something kind of fun. We're just going to work with some apples and make up a couple of fruit garnishes. This is something I learned when I was just a kid. There was an old chef on TV. His name was Chef Tell. And one of his things that he did was this exact thing we're going to do today. So, of course, we're using our knives, so it's the first thing we're going to do. That's right, we're going to sharpen our knives. Every single time, same number of times each way. I know that we go through it every single week, but you are far better to get cut with a sharp knife than a dull knife, because a dull knife tears. Now, I've just washed my hands, and yes, I'm going to be wearing gloves today, because even though this is just a fruit garnish, this is raw, ready to eat food, okay? Safety first, always, every time, sanitation, all right? I know it sounds silly, but you got to do it right every single time. Because if you don't wash your hands and you don't have gloves on, and somebody decides they're going to eat part of one of your birds, you may have unwittingly contaminated that fruit by not doing the right things. Okay, right thing, right time, every single time. All right, so we've got our apples, and we've got some lemon, and we've got a couple bowls of water. Okay, first thing we're going to do is take a couple of slabs off of our lemon, and we're just going to squeeze them in this water because we want to add some citric acid to the water so that our apples will hold color. Okay, now some people say, well, why don't you just throw the whole piece of lemon in there? And that's because the rind is not clean. You know what I mean? We could obviously wash the lemons, but sorry. Now that I have touched the unclean lemon rind, that's right, we got to change our gloves. All right, fresh gloves. Here we go. Making some cool birds of paradise. First thing we're going to do is take a base off the apple so that we can set it flat. That base right into lemon water, okay? Now, this is not difficult, but it really is something that you want to take your time and do right. And when you're cutting down through the apple, both ways, you can kind of tell when that piece of apple gives up, when you've cut all the way through. And you just want to take your time. You don't have to be in a hurry at all. Okay? There we go. You hear that little pop? We're going to do the same thing on the other side here. Just going to cut down. And we're going to turn it on its side. Cut in. Okay? Just take your time, because the thing is, if you try to hurry, you're going to wind up making a mistake. Okay? So, base of the bird in your water. Now you're going to take this knife, and you notice this knife has a very flat edge to it, okay? Because we want our cuts to be fairly straight, and we don't want to go all the way through. Okay? Just want to take our time. And really, this process is basically repeating the same cut over and over. There you go. And each piece, you're just going to pop right into your lemon water so that you are keeping the white part of the apple white That citric acid in the lemon keeps it from turning brown. Because really, if you didn't do that, these apples wouldn't have a fighting chance. They would turn brown pretty quick. And you're just making real simple V-cuts, okay? This is not difficult. But it is something that you really have to practice to get right. I mean, honestly, I've been making these apple birds for about 40 years. So it might look like I'm able to run through it pretty quick, but really, you just got to take your time in this process. And it doesn't matter if, you know, like here you can see some seeds are coming out. It doesn't matter if you're actually cutting into the core of the apple. That's not going to make a difference in the end result. Just take your time, and you'll notice I'm using a fillet knife instead of a paring knife. And that's just because this job is a little bigger than just your standard paring knife job. All right. Now, you know what? We're going to get our red apple to this point real quick so that we can build both of them at the same time. And really take a look at your apple and just kind of see if you have more of a flat side that you can cut off for your base. Okay? Now here's a funny thing. This is a Red Delicious apple, and that's a Granny Smith apple. And you can feel the difference when you're cutting the apples because a Granny Smith is really, really crisp and a little bit sour. And a Red Delicious, obviously very red, and it's sweet, but it's also a softer variety of apple. I'm just going to cut down just like we did before and cut in. Okay, you want to take your time. You don't ever want to be in a hurry while you're doing this, because if you are, you're going to wind up going too far with one of your cuts. There it is. You can just hear that little tiny pop when it comes out. Okay, see that? There it is. That's a huge mistake, right? Just watch. We will put that in the water. And we'll put this guy in the water. And we'll go ahead and we'll cut the rest of this. Now typically that happens because this is such a soft apple. It's a very delicate apple. So you have to be even more careful with the red ones than you are the green ones. There we go. Just take your time, don't be in a hurry. This is not a last minute project. Okay? This is a project that you want to do when you actually have time to get it done. Because if you are struggling to hurry with this project, it won't come out correctly. There we go. Just going to keep taking these guys off. Ooh, that one's a little loose. And again, that kind of speaks to how tender this apple is. There we go. Now, if you have this happen, just put your pieces in, because once we get back on this, we'll be able to correct that as we're building the bird itself. Okay? I'm going to take one more off of here. There we go. Okay, so just about all of our parts for our birds are cut. So we're going to take this old gnarly heel of the lettuce. And we're just gonna take it, we're gonna chop it up real nice and fine. Because that is going to be the nest for our birds, okay? Just gonna clean up our knife. All right, so we're gonna put one here and one here. We're gonna get us some nice nests going in here. It doesn't have to be too fancy or anything else. You're just looking for a spot that the heel of your apple can sit. All right, so we've got our green apple. Now we have to make the bird's head. And in order to do that, we're going to take our knife and we're going to poke in right here. And we're going to cut out a little V. Okay? And you just take your time. No hurry in this. There's your little V, all right? Now, that we've got it, let's go just a hair deeper. Okay. Now we need a bird head. So we're going to take this paring knife and we're going to cut right there. We're going to come around. Okay. We're just going to trim that up a little. And then we're going to we're just going to cut this like that. We'll see if that'll stand up in there. Yeah. Look at that. That's our bird head. Okay? Now you see these little cloves here? This is a clove. A lot of people use this in baking. This clove is just what we use to make our bird's eye. Alright? We're just going to trim off the little end of the clove. There we go. We're going to pop out this head for a second. We're going to take this clove, turn it around and pop it right in here. You just take your knife and give a little push to make sure he's in there. There we go. Now we're starting to build some wings. Okay? This is not a difficult part at all. We're just going to put these wings on just like we cut them off, only we're going to extend them a little. And you just kind of watch and make sure that you're lining them up on either side to the other side, okay? And that's the thing, you have to watch your balance on them, because if you don't balance them correctly, they'll fall. But once the water starts to dry off of them, they come out very, very nice. And that is our green bird. And he absolutely came out perfect. Okay? But we know that our red bird has some problems, right? So let's start by taking some parts of him out and seeing what we can do. There we go. All right, we're gonna wanna set that right there, right? Now, what we need to do is cut out the section for the head. So we're just gonna go in, make our little V cut. Being super careful, you guys, because you're working with a very sharp knife and it's in very close proximity to your fingers, okay? We're going to see about making a head for this guy. Now, remember, I said that this one is kind of a more mushy apple. So you have to really take your time doing this, because if you don't, you're going to wind up breaking it like I have a couple times. But I'm going to show you that even though we might make a little mistake, we can still salvage what we're doing. We're going to get a nice clove. Yep, we're going to cut off that eye. Now we're going to pull this guy out for a second. And just pop this eye in. There we go. Perfect. Now, this red bird is far from perfect, okay? But I'm going to show you that even if you don't get it right the first time, it doesn't mean that the product is not useful. It means that you have to be careful in what you're doing, and you have to figure out the best way to move forward. Okay? And that's what we're doing right here, right now. So we're just figuring out the best way to move forward with the product that we have. And the funny thing is just don't give up. You know, I mean, honestly, this is not really hard to do. It's a little time consuming, but the fact of the matter is that you really come out with a cool product, and there we're talking about that balance again. Okay? But the fact of the matter is that here we are. And this poor bird has had a rough time already, but guess what? We took our time, we kept on working on him, and looky there. You know what? It took us a few minutes, but we got a couple of perfect birds. And that's what I'm absolutely talking about, you guys, is it takes a little time and a little tiny bit of knife work. This is excellent practice anytime that you've just got, 15 minutes. You take a few minutes and you knock one of these guys out. You know what? In no time at all, you'll be impressing your friends with gorgeous birds. Hey, you know what? I want you to make a bird, and I want you to take a picture of it and send it to me at tbelisle@kcpublicschools.org. Hey, enjoy your food, enjoy your day. Thanks for coming by.